This is not a haiku. This is a fuck you. Feelings in corridors. Feelings on the bridge. It still burns. Thank you. We'll try this one more time. I had it on mute from Friday Night Tights last night. Welcome to another review of Star Trek Discovery. It's an episode called Forget Me Not, and I already forgot it. And obviously this episode is brought to you by the Orville, a much better show that is available on Hulu for the low price of between $7 or $10. You can watch it for just a month. Watch both seasons, and you will have your palate cleansed of the burning, itching mess that is Star Trek Discovery. I think all hope is gone for Star Trek to be able to rebound. Although I will admit that Star Trek Discovery was written before they decided to make another big change with this franchise. And we'll see what happens when we get Strange New Worlds. I think the only hope that it can be good is if they get rid of Alex Kurtzman, Michelle Paradise, Heather Caden, pretty much everyone involved. Fine, stick with the cast you got and bring in competent writers who know a little something about science fiction and who are willing to do the research necessary to take on a franchise that has been around for almost 6 decades. So we'll see. Didn't happen in this episode, though. What we did get was a lot of feelings in corridors, feelings on the bridge, feelings at dinner, feelings in pools, feelings in tentacle dimensions. I'm sorry, the symbiote, whatever, wherever you go, when little tentacles feel you up. An underage girl, by the way, which was a little awkward, but that's the way things are. Nothing really earth-shattering in this episode. We didn't find out anything about the burn other than it happened. It was complicated, and they're still looking for the Federation/Starfleet, which, I mean, they find out at the end, spoilers, and it had nothing to do with this episode. They're just introducing 2 new characters in a show where, I'll speak for myself, I don't know the names of all the characters, and I have seen every episode. Now, I didn't watch this one twice, and I had to watch it in, segments because it was boring. And I would just, my son would call me and I would walk away and I'm all, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be watching the show to review it. That's how important it was. And yes, obviously it's not Thursday. I'll get back to doing it on Thursday morning next week. I just didn't feel a rush for this episode. And it's filler in a short season. We're getting a lot of this. We got this with The Mandalorian as well. But we'll trudge on here. We'll trudge on and welcome everyone. Welcome to the, thank you Nerdrotics for being here. And of course, this episode will go over on Nerdrotic Live once it's done. Oh boy. So, Adira, at least I know her name, right? Adira is a genius. She's a 16-year-old genius, but she doesn't have a memory. She's got a squid inside her, and she is a human host who is not a Trill, and they decide to go to the Trill homeworld hundreds of years later without any information. Okay. It's just hard to get my head around the fact that they are 930 years in the future, and they thought this would fix canon. No, this is going to put a expiration date on everything we've seen before. So everything that happens now, this is actually worse. It would have been much better to go to a different reality, and hopefully that's where they are, which is a possibility. It still is a possibility. I doubt it. I doubt they've thought that far ahead. But if you want to solve a lot of problems with Star Trek Discovery, with what a lot of fans have is just make this an alternate universe and call it a day. And I would stop having a lot of problems with it. It would just be a crappy show that exists. And there's plenty of them out there. Trust me. Plenty of them out there. God, hurry up, Expanse, for Christ's sake, please. All right, so we're I'm looking at my notes here, and it is pure frustration. So we start out the episode. They decide to go. They were just at Earth, right? So they've been in the future for 3 days, maybe. I'll give them. We don't know. So maybe it's a couple weeks at the most, and they're all acting. The whole crew is off a little bit after making this decision to accompany the brightest and bravest and the bestest ever, Michael Burnham, to the future to preserve the past that they didn't need to preserve because the artificial intelligence that wasn't quite enough. An artificial intelligence didn't get the information it needed, although it was killed before they went through the time portal that they didn't need to go through because Discovery has autopilot and the Red Angel suit had autopilot. And please keep in mind that the Discovery has a bunch of info on it that the AI was looking for, which comes into play finally this episode in the dumbest way, the most Star Trek Discovery way possible. So they have 10,000 years of information that some planet, some giant sphere from season 2, if you didn't watch season 2, there was a giant sphere floating around the universe, a rogue planet. I get these things exist. They do. But it's sentient, I guess, and it's able to observe and record. Who made it? Don't know. Was it a living being? Sure. I don't know. And the Star Trek, the Discovery computers were big enough to hold all of the, I mean, the compression factor must have been brilliant. So, yes, the Discovery computer was able to hold all this information somehow from an organism. Doesn't matter. It's Star Trek Discovery. So they decide to go to this planet, and they're going to make this big decision to find out about Adira's past because she doesn't know anything. And what I remember from the trail is they absorb all the memories from all the past hosts, and you're still somewhat the same, but not totally. They contradict that in this episode. Now, last time I saw, what was it? Invasive Procedures, DS9? Was that the episode? I mean, it's been years. It's been years since I've seen it. So, all right. So, and also, the first thing, I put this in my notes. The first thing I thought of when I saw this episode is look for a lot of white actors in Hollywood to all of a sudden become gender neutral, non-binary, unpracticing bisexual to get roles. That's the first thing I thought of is like, everybody's going to start getting haircuts. So they so the crew is off a little bit, and they foreshadowed that for the last 3 episodes. So we're 4 episodes in, and they're still dealing with the crew being a little off, being 930 years in the future, forgetting that Voyager got over it like in an episode, and maybe 2. Fine in this very shortened season. And they have this big mystery, the burn, and this is a Jar Jar Abrams disciple here, Alex Kurtzman. So we're going to have major mystery box within mystery box within mystery box. So again, the burn is the big mystery that we're not going to find out about for a few more episodes. They've been to Earth after being through time to get their bearings. I don't know. I would have thought they would have stayed there a few days, gotten some more info about where they are, the lay of the land, even though Earth has become isolationist all of a sudden. But they would still have information, 900 plus years of information that they need, but they don't need it because they've got the sphere, which that 10,000 years of information, I said this over and over again in my season 2 reviews. I think Starfleet might have wanted that. I'm thinking an organization like Section 31, which was taken over by Control, would have wanted that, and I don't think they would have let it go. Just like the, designs for the Spore Drive and the designs for the Red Angel suit, which was built as basically a hobby by Michael Burnham's mom, like in her garage. So Saru assigns Stamets, who they're doing a spore. They do a spore jump over to the Trill homeworld, forgetting the name of the planet, and then Saru says, "Hey, we need to." This actually makes sense. Finally, one little thing that makes sense. They need to find another way to operate the Spore Drive. It's a little important. since there is very little dilithium, although Discovery seems to have plenty of it. And like, it's not in danger of blowing up again. Apparently nobody's worried about this at all. So it did it once. It's like, that won't happen again. Come on. So they assign Stamets to and Tilly to find another way. And Stamets is a dick to Tilly because she suggests dark matter. And I'm sure when they eventually come up with the solution, it will be just reverse the polarity of the dark matter and the quantum tachyon field. It'll be something like that. And they decide when they get to the Trill homeworld, Adira is going to go down, and she's going to be accompanied by Michael Burnham. Now, first, it's supposed to be Dr. Hugh Culber, but of course, he decides to send Michael Burnham. And there's a great scene because it's been a few episodes since we've got a "You're Awesome" Michael Burnham scene. So he goes there, and while he's probably, everybody's lost something. So they want somebody to accompany her who can empathize with her. And Culber, who has come back from the dead, decided that traveling through time is a bigger deal than coming back from the dead, and says Michael Burnham is just more awesome. And even Michael Burnham was all, I know I'm awesome, but this might be a little bit too much. And he goes, no. You're awesome. You don't know how awesome you are, which is a callback to the season 1 argument between Saru and Michael Burnham when they got in a straight up argument over how awesome she was. He's like, you have no idea how awesome you are. So yeah, she's going to accompany him down, and they get to the Trill homeworld. There's a holograph in the middle of the bridge, which I guess they're going to bring that back now. And of course, that was the big controversy in season 1 because they had holographic imagery. Again, outside the ship, it's still being repaired. We see we saw like 25 of those repair droids where we saw like hundreds of them before. And I still don't know where the 10,000 shuttles were from the battle at the end of season 2. Again, doesn't matter. So Stamets and Tilly have that forced drama. You're just a big, he's just being a dick, and there was no reason for it. And it's still supposed to show the tension with the crew. They're really upset. Right after saying, Culber does, a monologue in the beginning, and he's like, this is the best of the best. And then they're all like, it's just a big montage. And we're 15 minutes into the episode before something actually happens. Michael Burnham has a conversation with Adira, and they decide to go down, and they meet the Trill, who are led by a black female. I laughed. I'm like, of course. And in Star Trek Discovery fashion, they take the female leaders and they make them incompetent boobs. So the Discovery lets the Trill know that, hey, we've got a host here with the symbiote that's experiencing a little trouble. And they're like, oh, thank God. Since the burn, everything's been decimated, and we're on the brink of collapse, basically. And they're really grateful. Discovery, because it's not Starfleet protocol to be ambassadors. Like in every case, they try to be ambassadors and respectful and give them all the information. They decide to leave out the information that it's not Trill, it's a human. So they go down there all surprise, it's a human, and they're like, oh, abomination. We can't do this. And they order them to leave. But one of the guys is like, no. We're in serious trouble. We might want to look into this, which is perfectly reasonable. And when the black female leader says, no, we can't do this, Michael Burnham, instead of being ambassadorial, like, hey, let's talk about this, she just gets confrontational immediately. Just like, no. And she starts, judging, pointing her fingers. And so they're walking back to the shuttle because they're going to leave. And one of the Trill stops them and says, no, we're going to take that symbiote out because it's the future of our species and blah, blah, blah. And a couple of guards come up, and they are guarding the caves with the pools, right? So these are the elite, best of the best Trill guards with like these phaser spears, and Michael Burnham bests them in a nanosecond. Like, boom, they're just done. She stuns them and doesn't outright murder them like they have been murdering people in the previous episodes, carried over from Star Trek Picard. And yeah, I'm currently working on my Star Trek Picard review while watching this double dose of Kurtzman Trek. Oh, this is where, I'm grateful for my AA meetings. I don't think it's, I like to share. Like, hi, my name's Gary. I'm an alcoholic. Yeah, I just watched Picard and Star Trek Discovery at the same time. Feeling a little vulnerable right now. Yeah. So in the meantime, while this is going on the Discovery, Saru has a problem. Culber comes in and says, well, the crew's healthy, but they're not mentally healthy, and it's up to you to fix it because you're the captain. And he's like, all right, that's cool. Sure. They finally fixed the table in his room. They made a point to show the broken table from season 2, like 3 episodes, and they finally fixed the table. Good. I'm very glad they fixed the table. Culber gives him a little advice, like, hey, we got to figure out something to bring them together. And Saru brings up, well, let's, give them jobs, give them direction. And he said, normally that would be good, but we need some kind of a connection. They need the human connection. It's like, okay, well, I'll think about it. So he asks the computer. And the computer starts out sounding like a normal Star Trek computer. Starts offering, how about, and I'm just paraphrasing here. I don't know. I can't remember exactly what it said. But so like, how about bingo or whatever? And he's all, no, that's not it. And all of a sudden, the computer changes. And you see the sphere from season 2, right? And after you see the sphere, it changes. And then it's the voice from the short trek Calypso. It's that very sexy British voice. It's like ASMR, hot computer. And I gotta admit, I went and IMDb the girl who's the voice of the computer. Voice matches the person. Trust me. So yeah, it's okay. Well, they need a little connection. How about a dinner? And like Saru doesn't care that. Okay, so the entirety of season 2, they are running from an evil artificial intelligence that isn't quite an artificial intelligence that knows enough, that has a desire to be an artificial intelligence, which would show it's an artificial intelligence, of course, but this is Star Trek Discovery. So they were running from that. The computer automatically just turns into an artificial intelligence. and Saru just goes, run a level 10 diagnostic. And the computer says, I'm okay. So, okay. I mean, what am I supposed? I mean, like, I try to listen to both sides. I do. We're 3 seasons in. What am I supposed to do with this? Like, really? What am I supposed to do with this? It's a runaway train at this point, and you can just laugh. And that's all I've done is just laugh. It sucks to laugh at the death of American mythology. It was a damn good run. It was a damn good run. Some people will say Star Trek died after DS9. Some will say after the Next Generation movies. Some will say after Enterprise. You know what? Enterprise is Shakespeare to this. And it's not a show I initially liked at all. I had to be talked into watching it again. And I did. And believe me, compared to this, and I think it's just compared to this, it's better. It's kind of like the Star Wars prequels with Disney trilogy. You're like, oh, maybe those weren't so bad, but it's just lowering our expectations over and over and over again. So yeah, it's just an artificial intelligence with a really sexy voice, and it suggests a dinner. So they give the entire crew a day off, but they only invite the officers to dinner, I guess. And we have, I'm starting to remember names, but I had to look them up. I'd like Bryce and Reese, or Rice. Bryce and Reese, which are the Asian guy and the black guy, and the black female who is the navigator. I have no idea. I'm just going to call her Joan because I can't. The reason you can't remember her name is because they gave her a name that is not memorable. You can't like it's Osawu something or other. So first name's Joan. We're just going to call her Joan. And then Detmer, which is the redhead. And she is a very attractive person with, and the common theme here is the acting really sucks in this show. Like it's horrific. The extras who are the Trill are terrible. I mean, just like low tier acting, dinner theater, terrible acting. And along with the writing, it just doesn't make for very good television. And not even to laugh at. I mean, you know, there's stuff like Batwoman, which is comically bad. This is frustratingly bad. Frustratingly bad. Okay, so they have a dinner and it goes south. And the reason I started with my haiku, fuck you, because they start haikuing at the dinner table. And Detmer, they go around and Tilly talks about puking on somebody. Ha ha ha. Oh, by the way, Giorgio is there. And it just makes me think, oh, Giorgio's at a dinner table with somebody who she was eating 6 months ago, 7 months ago, a year ago. She's eating with somebody she was eating. Saru's species was what she was dining on in Series 2. Space Hitler. Space Hitler sitting down and having dinner with everybody. All right. Stamets and Detmer are forced mad at each other. We don't know why, because Detmer thinks Stamets gets all the credit for everything. And I'm like, wait a minute. No. Michael Burnham gets all the credit for everything, not Stamets. Stamets has been a manzel, basically, for the last season and a half. A damsel, a manzel. So I don't know where this came from. And Detmer's like, she tries to speak a haiku. And obviously she's upset because she had to clean up Stamets' blood. So she tries to make a haiku about Stamets' blood not coming out of the floor. And it upset her. And then she gets in an argument with Stamets. And they walk off. And it turns into a disaster. So everybody else leaves. Even the people who weren't arguing, leaving Saru there by himself. The only thing that was mildly amusing is when Giorgio walks away with the bottle of wine. Thanks. She said, at least the wine's good. And she walks away with the whole bottle. And that was it. So meantime, back on the planet, they decide after Michael Burnham has neutralized the elite guards guarding the most important thing on this planet within a nanosecond, the guy who was sympathetic to Adira and Michael Burnham says, let's go to the pool. Let's figure this out. Future of our species. Great. So Adira goes in the pool. And of course, she has a problem. So Michael Burnham's going to dive in there with her. And she finds wherever they are, the tentacles come down and Adira's like hiding in them. And Michael Burnham finds her. And these tentacles, she said, oh, they're trying to, feel me up. And she's like, I don't like it. And Michael Burnham's all, you got to let them feel you up. So they feel her up right under her skirt and everything. And she connects. And we find out that her boyfriend was on a ship, a generation ship, looking for the Federation. We don't see any other crew members on the ship. You can see that they don't have as much money. I don't think this is the most expensive show on television anymore. You could tell that the budget isn't quite where it was at in season 1 and season 2. There's a lot of bottle-ish episodes going on, and this is most definitely one of them. So they're on a generation ship, but we don't see a single other crew member. We just see her boyfriend, and yeah, you got to be careful what you say on YouTube. This sucks. But yes, so this is we have the gender fluid, who they still refer to as a she, and then we have the non-binary. I get confused. So one of them's non-binary, one of them's gender fluid. And I said that never mind. I made a joke last week. I don't know if I can get away with it again. So yeah, her boyfriend is Trill. Got little dots on her face. Sorry, his face My bad. His face. And he had the symbiote in him, and they were getting along. Adira, of course, is a genius, an artistic genius or something like that. And they showed a couple of scenes of them being in love, true love at 16. I remember when I was 16. I mean, I didn't do the true love thing because I'm a guy. But yeah, I fell in love a few times that year. But okay, this was true love. And then the ship crashes into something or it explodes, and her boyfriend is mortally wounded 900 years in the future. So first issue, we're 930 years in the future. This probably happened 8 months ago. 900 years in the future, if you want to change your gender, if I want to change my gender, change anything, I'm pretty sure it could be done. If 900 years previously you could replicate food out of nowhere, I'm guessing you can replicate organs, stuff like that. We've already shown, I mean, in Picard's era, you can make a golem and download somebody's memory into it, which still kills Picard. But for some reason, the medical droid said with like a piece of plexiglass, that's what the boyfriend was impaled on, it was dying, but the symbiote is alive. So they transferred the symbiote into the girl, the human. And Gray, by the way, Gray Tall is his name. He dies. And that was that was all being suppressed, and then they connect with the rest of the Talls. And we see Admiral Sental, who had that information. That's what Michael Burnham was there to get, was the information from Admiral Sental where the Federation was, because this decimated organization, which has been gone for over 100 years, is still the most important thing to save. Like, nobody's moved on. They haven't reorganized or anything. Everything stopped when you lost a fuel source, basically. Okay. We don't get any information. Admiral Sental he's an old guy with a ponytail, so he looks like an old hippie, and he's all, it's okay, human. You're one of us now. That's it. And we see Gray Tall, and there's lots of crying, hugging. I see you again. And Michael Burnham saved the day. They get out of the pool. All the Trill go, we're sorry. My bad. Especially the one guy was trying to kill Adira earlier, was handing her a towel. And we're like, cool. And of course, Adira said, my place is on the Discovery, and we're going to go out look for this organization to save everything, even though people have well moved on. Not very intrigued. Didn't find anything about the burn, but we did get some Federation coordinates, the big stinger at the end, and again, ripping off the Expanse. Adira can see Gray Tall there. So it's Adira Tall can now see her boyfriend. So she's got an imaginary boyfriend who looks corporeal, but isn't, because Michael Burnham couldn't see her. And sentient, by the way. Gray Tall goes, why didn't you tell her I was sitting here? And she's like, I don't know if she believed me. I think she would believe you. Of course Michael Burnham would believe you. And that's where it ends. Next episode, we get to the Federation. We finally get there. Mostly boring, big, long, mushy love story, and Star Trek has descended into fan fiction. And you might as well start adapting the scripts written by the Slash Fiction. If you guys remember, a lot of people lie and say this started fan fiction. It did not, by the way. Fan fiction's been around for long time. And the Slash Fiction was this perverted old lady who liked to fantasize about Kirk and Spock getting it on. It's a fetish, and it's cool. Hey, God bless America. Get it on. And she wrote about it and shared her stories, and a lot of people liked them. So you might as well just start adapting those at this point. That'd probably be better. No, they wouldn't. No, absolutely not. I don't want to give him any ideas. So that's it. Seth MacFarlane, please release the Orville couple episodes, something. That's all I can say. Let's get to you, folks. But yeah, I don't know. For one, I got to start asking this more. How do we want to do this? Answer the question with a Y for yes or an N with no, if you like. If you're in the chat and you're participating, did you watch this episode of Star Trek Discovery? Y for yes, N for no. Want to get a little feeling of the crowd there. Hey, there's Bird of Prey 5. I know he watched it. He did a review. You can go check out his channel. He did a review on it. I didn't, of course, as far as like canon contradictions, I don't have the knowledge of a Robert Meyer Burnett or Doomcock or Bird of Prey. I did a lot of drugs in the 80s. I've certainly watched every Star Trek episode more than once throughout my life. I'm currently watching Next Generation all the way through. Here we go. No. Look at it. So, okay, we got one yes. Angela watched it. Okay. And Milan watched it. Syntex watched it. Kelbor Hall watched it. Chris Persia watched it. Patty Critton, but mostly no. God dang, look at that. Now, when I asked that about the boys, it was, everybody watched it. Everybody watched it. And I bet it will be the same with The Mandalorian. Although we did get some reports that it wasn't, in some reports that it wasn't watched by as many people as they thought, but then others contradict that and say it's the most watched episode of The Mandalorian. We'll find out. We'll never really know. Polaris sucks for 2 Canadian pesos. Gary, you are on mute. Yes, but you're still awesome. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm total fucking boomer. I'm going to cut that out when it goes to Nerdrotic. I had such a good opening plan too. Yeah, I need to have a checklist. It's very important to have those, and I don't. Check these things before you go live. 2020 is the year of the cluster F shit show, says Just Mike for $5. It certainly is, but we must forever remember to remain a little grateful that we're alive, we're breathing. I can't say the sun is shining. It's looking pretty grim here in San Diego right now. It's raining. 2 days in a row, no sound, LOL Boomer, right? Butter Biscuit 92 for $2. I know, man. Well, I hit mute at the end of Friday Night Tights because, I don't know why I bothered after last night's episode. We took Crass to a whole new level. Christopher Betty for $5. I wouldn't call them tentacles as they were the thickness of a single fiber optic cable. Yeah, I mean like mini tentacles, little cables, something like that. That's just a description. You can use your own, though, Christopher. It's okay. Judicon for $5. Hail, Gary. I was so relieved at the end when she didn't say her name was Dax. Thank God. Yeah, I guess, you know what? Small victories. Polaris sucks for 2 Canadian pesos. If you get time, would love a DS9 series review. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to, listen, there's not going to be a ton to talk about over the next few months as far as like new entertainment. Now I mostly cover television, so I'm not worried about the movies not being released in theaters. That's not going to affect my channel. And there's still going to be TV shows released and there'll still be news to cover. So not worried about that. But yes, I am exploring, reviewing stuff I like. Somebody asked me last night about a Lord of the Rings review. Sure. Yeah. I've got time. I've got time. Big Worm for $10. And yeah, I think with The Expanse, I want to do that as well. For a fleeting moment, I got those old school Star Trek chills when she said her names and they accepted her. Then I saw Mikey again and went, it's gone. Live long and prosper. Big Worm for $10. Yes. Live long and prosper. And that's what it's relying on. Lower Decks relied heavily on the member berries. Frankly, Star Wars is doing the same thing. They just need to move forward with this franchise. That's all they've ever. I'm surprised Brian Fuller still allows his name to be put on the show. Maybe he doesn't have a choice. But they put, created by Brian Fuller, and based on what I've heard, Brian Fuller is not very happy. He wasn't done. He wasn't done right with this show. Man got stabbed in the back, apparently. Mupersario D for £5. I've been watching TNG Enterprise Voyager recently, and they have so many memorable episodes. With STD, we're 3 seasons in and not one memorable episode. No, you're right, because their whole thing is, this is the first episode with a gender fluid non-binary couple, and so we're going to go in with that, and then we're going to have soap opera writers in a Star Trek show. And that's what you get, garbage like this. So you don't even do any cause well. And that's what I say. They don't even woke right in this show. They just don't. Not that it's going to help, because the story never comes first. They were at most 15 when in True Love, says Bird of Prey 5 for $2. Yeah, 15 True Love. Oh, boy. Bird of Prey 5. Oh, that's a good prediction. I was going to say Vulcan, but I guess I'd be wrong. I agree with your Bird of Prey 5 for $2 says prediction. The Federation is on Bajor. Yeah, I agree with that. Thank you, Commander Ed Straker of Shadow, for $1. I appreciate you. Captain Spire, test. Thanks, buddy. How are you, Captain Spire? Captain, I am jacked up on coffee. Thank you. Commander Ed Straker of Shadow for $5. Hey, this was Drake is 6. My old handle got nuked last night. Why? At 11:54 p.m., disputed, not hopeful, rebuilding, but restarting membership. STDs equal caca. Thumbs down. Absolutely. Yes, there is a bunch of weirdness going on YouTube. It's probably, it could be post-election blahs. I don't know. But there's a bunch of weirdness going on YouTube. It reminds me of what was going on right when the coup started. It's almost the exact same thing. I don't know. There's probably, and what I mean by post-election blahs is there's some people that, I think everybody's pissed off pretty much, but it's also, YouTube was making a lot of money prior to the election off of their ads for the politics ball stuff, and now it's over and things are shifting algorithmically. Gary, what do you think about Red Letter's re-reviews of TNG? Their favorite episodes of TNG had made me rediscover how good Trek has been. New crap is irrelevant and will soon be forgotten. I applaud what they did. Paleo Geek Chris for $9.99. Instead of, I'm sure they'll do a Star Trek Discovery review, but quite frankly, I think they felt like they needed to show, nobody questioned their knowledge, Mike's knowledge of Star Trek, but to go out there and tell people why you loved it, so because I'm sure they heard the same thing I hear, Doomcock hears, everybody else, we just want to hate this shit. And no, if I don't do hate. I get really frustrated. But when I stop caring about something, I won't talk about it anymore. And I'm certainly phasing out with Star Trek Discovery. The interest is dead on this show, and we know what we're going to get at this point, and it's not going to change. I'll check out Strange New Worlds if it's, but that's about it. And anything new we get, it's just going to be Kurtzman stuff. So I applaud it. I think they were really good, and they get recommended everywhere, everywhere. So yeah, my plan is to, when I finish my Picard review, I'm going to do something I like, and then we'll embark onto doing like a full video for Star Trek Discovery season 1 and 2, and then I'll mix it in with like an Expanse or something like that. That's going to be my focus. These things take a ton of work. They do, but it's like, and I don't mean like freaking driving spikes in the railroad. Okay. Not that kind of work I've actually done, or fighting fires, not that work. I mean, like, it's time consuming, detailed stuff, but it's fun as hell. It's fun as hell. So I'm slow. I'm an incredibly slow editor, as you can tell. Trust me, they screwed up Trill Cannon. Captain Robert April for $2. Oh, I do. I think, okay, as far as, and I'm trying to remember, as far as other hosts go, I don't know. I can't remember. But I thought, well, for one, not every Trill can be a host because of that episode, right? I can't remember if it was rejected or when the guy tried to steal the symbiote. And Gray Tall said, "I won't be different once the symbiote gets in me." That's a contradiction, because you absolutely are different. They've done episodes. You are different. There's still part of you there, but you're different. So I don't know what else beyond that. I'll have to, again, when we do a rewatch and stuff, I'll get all caught up on that stuff. It's sci-fi without the science fiction, says Gethin Jones. Absolutely. And I will watch Babylon 5. I think Az and I are going to watch that together, and we'll probably do live streams on it. For me, Star Trek died after Enterprise, 1966 to 2005, says Jimmy77. Diamond Dogs is a good song. Diamond Dogs is a good song. I couldn't give a toss about Star Trek. I'd rather listen to someone talk about it instead of wasting my time physically assaulting my senses watching it, says Matt Guy. Yes, indeed. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Commander Ed Straker of Shadow. Yes, it is a great mystery. What happened to my Drake is 6 channel? No warning or strikes or any change in my postings. They have been culling channels off of Twitter and YouTube. And slightly in their defense, both were filled with bot accounts for the election. And after the election, they're not necessary. So either, I doubt the bot accounts self-delete. So I think they did a sweeping thing. It's happening to every channel right now. It's a normal process. Don't panic. You never panic. Hiram for $2. Please start watching and reviewing Babylon 5. I will. It'll be a couple weeks, probably, but I will. Brandon Yan for $5. Something else. Nobody's ever joined before they hit maturity. Ah, yes. So they'd have to be 25 plus years old to qualify. From what you're saying, there's not here. No, they're 15. They're young, and their species is dying off. They're on the brink of collapse. Everything's on the brink of collapse because of dilithium. I just don't buy that, but it's Star Trek Discovery. I don't buy anything in this, and they don't think about this stuff. They thought this would be easy money. CBS thought Star Trek would be easy money from you all, right? They thought sci-fi fans aren't fickle. I mean, they have no respect, by the way, for nerds and fans, and never have and never will. Hollywood is run by the equivalent of jocks. And it's not just evil white man. No, it's everybody. It's that you can be any race, any religion. You are, once you get in charge in Hollywood, you're a jock. They don't have any respect for how much we love this show, how much we give a shit about the canon, how many books were written. They think it's all a waste of time. The vast majority of people, and I've said this in multiple reviews, in charge of this show don't watch it. They don't watch it, never have watched it. And these are, again, the big people in charge, very rich, elite people who spend their time traveling, going to dinner parties, doing whatever rich people do. Rich people do not sit back in Hollywood and watch a Star Trek episode. It is beneath them. And so are all of us. We are just plebs. I've said that before. I'll say it again, and it shows. It shows. When you get somebody involved in a project that actually gives a shit, it shows. Expanse, they give a shit. Even with The Mandalorian, I know it's got its criticisms, but I don't think anybody can question that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, again, despite any criticisms, give a shit. Never question that they love Star Wars. And like Chris Chibnall with Doctor Who supposedly was a fan, but clearly doesn't give a shit. He has moved past it. This is why these are children's shows. Why are you? Well, now Star Trek doesn't get accused of that, but Doctor Who, Star Wars does. Nobody's ever outright said Star Trek is a children's show, although the vast majority of my generation was watching it when we were kids and loving it and understanding it for the most part at very early ages. Trina Guthridge for $4.99. Did the crew know what a trill was, or did they have it explained to them? They come from the time before Kirk. Saru knew what it was and explained it to Burnham. I don't think he explained it to the rest of the crew. I think that's going to be an assumption, but Saru knew what it was. But again, I only watched this episode once. Which is, again, we have abandoned that this thing happened before the time of Kirk. They don't even care anymore. And the only reason they chose prequel is so they could change the canon. They give all this lip service and bullshit that they like, oh, we respect canon. No. It's so they could change it. So they can go back and make sure a black female did it first to fix the problematic past that is much too white and male. That is their whole agenda from the beginning. I'll still argue that if Brian Fuller, who has, I don't love everything he's done, but he's a better writer than Alex Kurtzman. Much better writer. He would have probably put a lot of agenda stuff in it too, but it might have been better. I think there's a pretty good chance it would have been better. And they should have stuck with him, but Kurtzman is very good at working the corporate politics angle. And that seems to be more important than actually being talented in Hollywood nowadays. Brandon Yan. Something else. Number one, dilithium can be grown. Number two, there's no way to blow it up. If a M/M reaction can't fully destroy it, recomposite it in the articulate. Okay, sorry, I'm going to kicked out of 3 high schools. Recomposited in the articulation frame. Well, and they've shown that they can, recrystallize dilithium in that short trek with the ice cream girl. Her whole planet can do it. So did that planet blow up? And we're still, Brandon, and thank you, I don't know if it was just ships and warp or if all of it blew up. I mean, obviously all of it didn't blow up. I guarantee you when we find out, it won't make sense. And a lot of people are saying it's called the burn because of Burnham, and it might have been Michael Burnham's fault. The world centers around Burnham. So at this point, sure, I can believe that. I can believe that. The Expanse is science fiction done right, says Jennifer Sisko. It is, yes. They think about shit a lot. I went to an Expanse panel at New York Comic Con, got to see the first episode of season 3 before it came out, which was just damn good. Just damn good. Season 3 for me was 3 or 4? 4. Sorry, season 4. Was a little rushed, just like season 3. They took their time with the books in season 1 and 2. Hopefully they don't do that with season 5. Hopefully it doesn't get all woke. The Expanse does not need to get woke. Just adapt the story because it is pretty much science fiction done the way everybody wants. And it's just there to entertain. We'll find out. Okay, I'm going to wrap things up, folks. I've got video. I got to work on Picard. Next live stream will be the Inquisition with the future ruler of Earth, Doomcock. It is on his channel this weekend, so go over there Sunday at 5:30 p.m. There will be a member stream for the upper 2 tiers tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. And if you're over on Patreon, which I'm closing out in 2 months, but I feel like I owe you guys something. So on Patreon, for the 2 upper tiers, one of you, unfortunately, is going to get the Mandalorian reviews, which will be chopped into a video, which will be on Nerdrotic Live tomorrow. And then the other tier will get The Expanse, which I think we can do watch parties. It's on Amazon. So I have a Twitch channel that I haven't used. And if I can figure out a way to do the watch parties, I think we'll do it. We'll do a premiere watch party on Twitch. And I will be in contact with you about that. God, there's something else I needed to tell you, and I'm not remembering it right now. But I thank everyone for participating. Thank you, friends and frenemies, for being here. And remember that there is occasionally good television out there. And now that all the craziness isn't over, it's far from over. It's far from over. But we remember that we're nerds, we're fans, and that's not going to change on this channel. So we will always be focusing on the pop culture aspect of things on this channel. And when I do see, because listen, a lot of people have contacted and said, listen, we need something a little positive right now. So I will try to provide. We're going to do a chill stream. That's it. Monday, we're going to do a chill stream. So bring what you love on that one, and we'll just talk about shit we like. My ex-wife for $5 says, Gary, do accept gifts on Audible. I think you might like the Halo books. It's by far my favorite Space Odyssey sci-fi universe. Yeah, I mean, I could check them out, my ex-wife, but yes, I got to figure out how to do that. Audible, I was signed up. That was the one sponsor I was going to take, was Audible, because I use it every night. I mean, I'm absolutely a fan of Audible. And I signed up, and then the coof happened, and I never heard from them again. So, but I would most certainly allow that as a sponsor. I usually, but no on the sponsor aspect. So thanks again. The long goodbye. Jaloja. Don't forget to hug the donkey. Watch the Orville on Hulu. And thank you to the Modrotics. And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye, everyone.